Imagine waking up one morning in 2026. You walk to your regular coffee shop, but it is shuttered with a faded "For Rent" sign. You continue to the fresh market, only to find it frighteningly empty of people. This isn't because people don't want to buy things, but because no one has any money left to spend. This scenario is not a sci-fi horror movie script, but a simulation of what many economists fear could become reality for Thailand in the very near future if the time bomb known as household debt actually explodes. Looking back at the shocking statistics, Thailand's household debt has currently skyrocketed past 16 trillion baht, accounting for over 90% of the country's GDP. This is the highest figure in decades. What is even more terrifying is that this is not debt incurred to create income or investment. Rather, it is debt created for consumption and daily survival. To illustrate this, let us introduce Somchai, a pseudonym, the owner of a small restaurant in Bangkok who has been fighting for his livelihood for 10 years. Somchai tells us, "In the past, I had enough profit to send my children to school and pay the mortgage. But now, every baht I earn goes to paying off informal loan interest and car installments, leaving almost nothing for food." Somchai's story is not unique. It mirrors the larger picture of millions of Thai SMEs that are gasping for air. Why is everyone pointing to 2026? Why not 10 years from now? The answer lies in the cycle of non-performing loans, NPLs, that is spreading from the grassroots level up to the banking system like wildfire. In this video, we will not just complain about the bad economy, but we will delve into 13 key points that will change your financial life forever if you do not prepare right now. Have you ever heard of the iceberg theory? What we see above the water is only a tiny fraction, while the true danger lies unseen beneath the surface. Thailand's debt is the same. The 16.3 trillion baht figure reported in the news is merely formal debt reported by banks. However, economists estimate that there is a massive amount of informal debt not included in the count, potentially reaching hundreds of billions or trillions of baht, hidden in alleyways, factories, or illegal lending apps. If we lined up that 16 trillion baht, it could circle the globe multiple times. Unfortunately, this money wasn't invested in factories or innovation. Instead, it was used for swiping cards to buy groceries, paying installments on cars about to be repossessed, and borrowing new debt to pay old debt. This is dangerous because when household debt hits 90% of GDP, it means the entire country works hard, but almost all income is sent to pay interest to banks and creditors instead of circulating in the economy. When the middle class, the main engine of consumption, stop spending because they can no longer bear the debt burden, restaurants will empty, malls will become deserted, and companies will lay off staff. This creates a debt deluge rising from individuals to the national level. Why 2026? It is what economists call a perfect storm. First, pandemic-era relief measures, debt moratoriums, will completely end by 2025-2026. The painkillers will wear off, and debtors must pay full principal and interest. Second, the cycle of rising interest rates will take full effect on installment payments in that year. A 1 to 2% increase is the final straw for many. Third, a massive amount of corporate bond debt will mature in 2026. If companies lack liquidity and cannot roll over this debt, we will see major defaults, severely shaking confidence in the Thai capital market. This is no longer just about numbers on paper. It is a deadline counting down toward us. If 2026 is the storm, we have less than 2 years to prepare our life jackets. Many think the debt crisis is only for the poor, but the scary truth is that the middle class and office workers are the ones carrying the heaviest iceberg. Let's meet Kao, pseudonym, an office worker in her early 30s in Sukhumvit with a salary of 45,000 baht. It sounds good, right? But looking inside her finances reveals a different reality. Condo installment, 15,000, car installment, 8,500, minimum payments on 3 credit cards, 10,000, and utilities/internet, 4,000. She is left with less than 8,000 baht for food and actual living. This is a state of debt-flooding income. Despite this, her external image looks fine. Kao still visits cafes to take photos for social media. Deep down, however, she is using future money to pay for the present. Household debt is hard to fix because it stems from a culture of consumption, stimulated by 0% interest for 10 months promotions, or borrow to buy a house and get cashback schemes. These are traps. If an unexpected event happens in 2026, like a salary cut or a family illness, Kao's financial system will collapse immediately because she has zero emergency savings. Sadly, there are millions of Thais like Kao in our economic system. If you feel like your salary vanishes into credit card bills the moment it arrives, you are already in this trap. When the middle class stops spending, the gears of the larger economy, specifically the SMEs, will stop turning. When Kao decides to stop buying expensive coffee and eating out to pay off debts, the local economic wheel slows down immediately. The people who take the full impact are the millions of Thai SMEs. Look at the street food stalls or chic cafes in Niman. Many that once flourished now have empty tables. The owners aren't lazy, but the customer's purchasing power has vanished. SMEs account for over 99% of all businesses and employ over 12 million people. If this backbone breaks, the country cannot move forward. In 2026, SMEs won't just face low sales but also a liquidity crisis. Many borrowed to expand post-COVID, hoping for a V-shaped recovery, but instead faced a K-shaped recovery, where the rich got richer and the small players drowned. With lower income, higher material costs, and rising business loan interest rates, SMEs are bleeding out. By 2026, when banks tighten lending, credit crunch, SMEs without long capital runways will be the first to close down. When one shop closes, 5 to 10 people lose their jobs, becoming the debtors mentioned earlier, creating a vicious cycle. People will ask, where is the government? The painful truth is the government has limits. Public debt has risen to 70% of GDP due to crisis relief. If a household debt crisis explodes alongside SME failures in 2026, tax revenue will vanish. If the government borrows more to help, public debt will breach the ceiling, potentially leading to a credit rating downgrade. This would make national borrowing more expensive, spiking interest rates further. National security is also about fiscal security. If the government has no money for welfare or stimulus, Thailand enters fiscal paralysis. We are walking a thin line between supporting the people and maintaining national stability. Furthermore, we are stuck in the middle income trap. Have you noticed that over the past 5 to 10 years, salaries have stagnated or barely increased, but the price of bubble tea or basil rice has skyrocketed? This reflects our reality. Thailand is no longer the fifth tiger of Asia. We grew on cheap labor, but now we are too expensive compared to Vietnam or Indonesia, yet not skilled enough to compete with Korea or Japan. Consequently, incomes rise slowly, while the cost of living and assets like houses and cars follow global market prices. The gap is filled by debt. In 2026, this trap will tighten as foreign factories relocate to cheaper or higher-tech bases, leading to more unemployment while old debts remain. Adding to this is the second time bomb, the aging society. Thailand is becoming an aged society while still a developing country, a condition economists call getting old before getting rich. In 2026, the proportion of elderly will rise while the working-age population, taxpayers, shrinks. The sandwich generation must care for aging parents and growing children while carrying their own heavy debts. Medical costs in retirement are high, yet most Thais have less than 50,000 baht in savings. This bomb will explode in 2026 as many Gen Xers retire with massive unpaid debts. Unlike the 1997 Tom Yum Kung crisis, which was a rich man's crisis, top-down, involving corporations and currency, the 2026 crisis is a poor and middle-class crisis, root rot. In 1997, the grassroots were strong, and we had young labor to drive recovery via exports. In 2026, with an aging population and outdated skills, the crisis will be like cancer spreading slowly but fatally, rather than a recoverable heart attack. Before 2026 arrives, let's check your personal wallet. Here are 5 dangerous signals. If you have more than 3, you are entering a financial danger zone. Paying minimum. If you have paid only the minimum on credit cards for over 3 months, you are in a debt trap where compounding interest prevents the principal from decreasing. Using credit for food. If you must swipe cards to buy rice, oil, or daily essentials and cannot pay it back in full, your regular income is insufficient for survival. You are borrowing from the future just to live today. Debt-to-income ratio, DTI, go to 40%. If your monthly debt payments exceed 40% of your total income, you have no breathing room. Any crisis in 2026 will knock you down immediately. No emergency fund. If you lose your job or get sick tomorrow and have no savings to last 3 to 6 months, relying solely on more borrowing, you are standing on a cliff edge without a safety rope. Borrowing new to pay old. This is the most dangerous sign. Borrowing from one app to pay another is like filling a leaking bucket. Eventually, no one will lend to you anymore. If you have these signs, do not lose hope. We have strategies to survive. To survive 2026, you need discipline. Here are 3 ironclad strategies. Face reality. Do not hide bills. List all debts, amounts, and interest rates. Prioritize eliminating high-interest debts like credit cards or informal loans first. Snowball method. Pay off the smallest debt completely first to gain psychological momentum, then roll that money into the next larger debt. Negotiate before collapse. Don't wait to be sued. Enter debt restructuring, TDR, or debt clinics with banks. Negotiating while you still have some ability to pay gives you more options. Cut illusionary expenses. Cancel unused subscriptions, stop eating out, or sell depreciating assets like a second car to pay off high-interest debt. This is retreating to leap forward. However, you cannot save your way to wealth if income is insufficient. In the changing economy of 2026, old skills won't suffice. You need new goldmine skills. Digital commerce and affiliate. Use platforms like TikTok or Shopee to create sincere review content. You don't need stock. You need the skill to sell using AI to help produce content. Services for the aging society. Jobs related to elderly care, health food, or retirement planning will be in high demand. AI literacy. AI won't steal your job, but people who use AI will. Using AI to reduce work time allows you to build second or third income streams. Look at Fa, pseudonym, an accountant who uses AI to edit short videos after work. Her side income now exceeds her salary. 2026 might sound like a nightmare with 16 trillion in debt and an aging society, but crisis only hurts the unprepared. Thailand survived 1997 and COVID-19. If you check your warning signs, plan your debt repayment, and build new skills today, you won't just survive, you will grow. Start now.